Have you ever wondered why it feels like everyone you know is suddenly living in their own personal bubble? It is not just your imagination, and it is definitely not just a trend that will fade away by next season. There is a massive nationwide breakup happening right now across the United States, and it is not the kind of messy drama you usually see plastered all over reality television. We are talking about millions of people who are making the radical choice to dump their roommates, move out of shared spaces, and tell their partners they need a place of their very own. It is the ultimate social revolution, a total "it's not you, it's me" moment that is reshaping the entire map of the country. Seriously, you won't believe the scale of what is going on right under our noses. More Americans are living alone right now than at any other point in our collective history. Let that sink in for a second. We have reached a point where nearly 30% of households in the country have an occupant status of exactly one. That is almost 38 million people navigating life, rent, and groceries all by themselves. It is a staggering figure that would have been completely unthinkable just a few decades ago. Is the traditional American family as we knew it officially over? Are we seeing the permanent end of the era where the goal was always to pair up as fast as possible to survive? We are diving headfirst into why everyone is suddenly so obsessed with having their own space, their own silence, and their own remote control. But here is the real kicker. This is not just about finding a little peace and quiet after a long day at the office. This is a trillion-dollar shift that is making the entire global economy sweat. This isn't just a lifestyle choice. It is a financial earthquake. For the longest time, our entire society was built for the power couple model. You know the deal. 2 incomes, shared expenses, and a double-wide driveway. But now that era is being challenged by a new reality that is making the housing market and big box retailers scramble to keep up. Are we witnessing the actual death of the nuclear family model? You won't believe how much this shift is actually costing you, whether you are living with someone right now or not. The ripple effects are everywhere, from the price of a single gallon of milk to the skyrocketing rent in cities that cannot build studio apartments fast enough. It is a drama that involves everyone, and the stakes could not be higher. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. This conversation is just getting started, and your perspective on this solo living wave is exactly what we need to hear to understand the full picture. This single tax people keep talking about, it is very, very real, and it is hitting everyone's pockets harder than a front page celebrity scandal. We are talking about a massive annual penalty for the privilege of independence, and yet more people than ever are willing to pay it without blinking. Why? Is the freedom of being able to leave your dishes in the sink without a lecture really worth $10,000 extra a year? Rumors are swirling that this shift is the secret reason why the housing market feels like a total nightmare for everyone else. If one person is taking up a whole apartment that used to house 3 or 4 people, what does that do to the supply? It is a supply and demand catastrophe in the making. And wait, because there is so much more to this story. We are talking about a fundamental change in how we consume, how we save for retirement, and how we interact with our neighbors. The economy is being forced to pivot in real time, and some industries are failing to adapt to this new world of I instead of we. Stay tuned, because the single life is about to get a whole lot more complicated, and the bill is coming due faster than anyone ever anticipated. So who are the main characters in this massive social upheaval? Well, let's meet the first group of stars in our story, the Solo Squad. We are talking about Gen Z and millennials who are looking at the traditional life path and saying, "No thanks, I'll take the studio apartment and the cat instead." For this generation, choosing me time over we time isn't just a phase, it's a powerful lifestyle statement. They've seen the burnout of their parents and decided that personal peace is the ultimate currency. They want the freedom to travel, to work from a coffee shop in Lisbon, or to just binge watch their favorite show at 3 a.m. without having to explain themselves to anyone. But wait, it's not just the kids. Here comes the most unexpected cameo in the history of demographics, the gray divorcees. You might think your grandparents are settled in for the long haul, but think again. Baby boomers in their 60s and 70s are ditching decades-long marriages faster than you can say retirement plan. They've spent 40 years compromising on dinner, movies, and even the temperature of the house. And now they want to live their best single lives while they still have the energy. It's a total plot twist, right? These aren't people looking for a new partner. They are looking for a new lease on life where they are the only ones calling the shots. Finally free from the expectations of the traditional domestic sphere. This sudden surge in solo living has left some major players in the background absolutely panicking. Our supporting cast includes real estate developers and big box retailers who are literally scrambling to keep their heads above water in this new world. Imagine you're a developer who spent years building massive suburban family homes with 4 bedrooms and a white picket fence, only to realize the market now wants 400 square foot micro apartments in the city center. It's a total nightmare for their business models. They are trying to pivot, but you can't exactly turn a sprawling suburban mansion into 10 individual studios overnight. And don't even get me started on the retailers. Places like Costco and Sam's Club are built on the family of 4 model. If you're a solo dweller, what are you going to do with a 30-pound tub of mayonnaise or a pack of 48 chicken thighs? It's just not practical for one person. Companies are having to rethink everything from packaging sizes to marketing strategies just to stay relevant to someone who only shops for one and values quality over bulk. They are trying to shrink their products without shrinking their profits, and let me tell you, the struggle is very real for these corporate giants. To really understand how we got here, we have to look at how much the world has changed since the mid-20th century. Remember the 1950s? The Leave It to Beaver era was the gold standard for American life. Back then, the nuclear family unit was the bedrock of everything. You got married young, stayed married, and lived in a house that was always full of people and noise. Fast forward to the individuality era of 2024, and the script has been completely flipped. Living alone has transitioned from being something people pitied to being the ultimate new status symbol. It says, I have the financial means to support myself without a roommate. Is it pure luxury, or is it actually a lack of other options in a brutal housing economy? There's a heated debate going on. For some, having a space where no one touches your stuff or judges your late-night snack habits is the dream. For others, it's a lonely necessity because they simply can't find a partner they can afford to live with. Is it freedom, or is it just a very expensive silent bubble? There is a serious amount of drama bubbling under the surface between these different groups. We have this deep-seated tension between old-school expectations and the modern reality of solo living. Older generations often look at the solo squad and think they're being selfish or antisocial. They ask, when are you going to settle down? While the solo squad is busy enjoying their silence and total control over the thermostat. This clash of values is creating a huge divide in how we view success today. Is success a happy family of 5 in the suburbs, or is it a perfectly curated solo apartment with zero drama? This isn't just a personal choice anymore, it's a structural change that is challenging everything we thought we knew about the American dream. The nuclear family isn't just being challenged, it's being redefined by people who prioritize their own well-being over social pressure. Can the economy survive this many people going solo? The stakes are rising, and the tension between the we and the I is reaching a boiling point. It feels like everyone is picking a side, and the consequences for the housing market and our social fabric will be felt for generations to come. The question remains, can we afford to be alone, or are we paying a price that goes way beyond our monthly rent? The bills keep coming, and for the solo dweller, there is no one left to split the check with when the lights go out. Let's talk numbers because the receipts do not lie, and honestly, they are totally mind-blowing. When you look at the cold, hard data, the scale of this solo revolution is enough to make anyone's jaw drop. We are talking about a record-breaking 29% of all households in the United States that are now officially occupant one. That's nearly 38 million people living entirely by themselves. Just think about that for a second. That is more people than the entire population of Canada living in solitary bliss. It's not just a small trend or a niche lifestyle choice anymore. It's a demographic tidal wave that's crashing into every corner of the economy. If you walk down any street in a major city, practically every third door you pass belongs to someone who is navigating life without a partner or a roommate. This is a massive shift from the middle of the last century, and the economic ripple effects are everywhere. You have to wonder, how did we get to the point where millions of us decided that a studio apartment and a pet were better than a shared life? It certainly feels that way when you see the stats. And here is the juicy part that people don't always talk about. Solo dwellers are actually the biggest spenders in the game, which is a total spending secret that industries are finally starting to notice. You might think living alone means saving money because you're only buying for one, but the reality is the exact opposite. Data shows that individuals living solo actually spend significantly more per person than people living in couples or families. When you are on your own, you lose that famous economy of scale that makes life cheaper. You can't split the rent, you can't split the premium streaming subscriptions, and you definitely aren't getting a discount on the electric bill just because you're the only one turning on the lights. Everything from groceries to home insurance costs more when there is nobody to share the burden with. It's like the world is built for pairs, and the solo squad is being forced to pay a premium just to exist. It's expensive to be independent, but for many, that peace of mind is worth every single penny. Now, let's spill the housing tea, because this is where things get really spicy and a little bit controversial. Rumors have been swirling for years about why it's so hard to find an affordable place to live, and many economists are pointing their fingers directly at the rise of solo living. Is it selfish for one person to occupy a larger house that could fit a family? Some people say yes, especially when families are struggling to find space, but for many, it's just the new norm of the individuality era. When you have 38 million people each needing their own front door, their own kitchen, and their own bathroom, it puts an incredible amount of pressure on the housing supply. We are seeing a density crisis where there are more housing units, but fewer people living inside each one. This drives prices sky high for everyone, making the market feel like a total nightmare. This leads us to the dreaded single tax, and honestly, it's a total scandal that needs more attention. If you live alone, you are essentially paying a massive penalty for your independence. Research suggests it costs an average of over $10,000 extra per year to live alone compared to living with a partner. $10,000. That's the ultimate price for your freedom. You're paying full price for the square footage, full price for the trash pickup. And you don't have anyone to help you out if you have a bad month at work. It's a high-stakes financial tightrope walk, and the solo squad is walking it every single day. They are paying for every inch of their autonomy, and the bill is steep. Because of this financial pressure, we're seeing micro apartments become the hottest trend in big cities like New York, Seattle, and Austin. These tiny boxes are often less than 300 square feet, but they are selling for premium prices because they cater to the solo soul. It's living proof that people are willing to sacrifice almost all their physical space just to avoid having a roommate. Real estate developers are scrambling to build these tiny nests, realizing that the market for small but solo is exploding. But wait, have you noticed the grocery scandal? Everything is still packaged for families of 4. You want a loaf of bread. Good luck finishing it before it grows a science project of mold. You want a value pack of chicken? You'll be eating poultry for 2 weeks straight. Big box retailers haven't caught up to the fact that household doesn't mean family anymore, leaving solo dwellers with wasted food and wasted money. It's a struggle that's changing how we eat and how we shop, one single serving meal at a time. The world is trying to keep us in pairs, but the data proves we are breaking away. If you spend even 5 minutes on TikTok lately, you have definitely seen the solo date movement taking over your entire feed. It is everywhere. We see influencers going to fancy candlelit dinners by themselves, buying themselves massive bouquets of flowers, and basically romanticizing every single second of their solitary lives. It looks like an absolute dream, right? All that aesthetic lighting and zero interruptions. But if you look at the comments, the internet is totally divided. Some people see it as the ultimate form of empowerment, the solo squad finally taking back their time and refusing to wait for a partner to enjoy life. But then there is the other side. Critics are starting to wonder if this main character energy is actually just a massive, glossy coping mechanism for a generation that is lonelier than it has ever been. Are we actually happy, or are we just trying to make being alone look pretty because we feel like we do not have another choice? It is a debate that is heating up every day, and honestly, the tea is boiling. Meanwhile, over on Twitter, or X if you are actually calling it that, the vibe is a lot more chaotic. People are roasting the absolute soul out of the single tax we mentioned earlier. You will see thousands of likes on posts about how painful it is to pay for a full Netflix subscription, or the entire high-speed Wi-Fi bill without any backup. People are literally crying laughing about how their rent takes up 60% of their paycheck just so they do not have to argue with another human about whose turn it is to do the dishes. It is like a massive digital support group for people who are choosing freedom but paying for it with every cent. The humor is dark, but the struggle is real. I love my peace, but my peace is expensive has become the unofficial motto of the solo squad online, and it resonates with almost everyone living in a one-bedroom apartment right now. And oh boy, let us talk about the generational beef. Because the comment sections are a total war zone. You have got baby boomers chiming in, calling Gen Z antisocial and claiming that we have lost the ability to compromise. They look back at their 1950s family units and think we are all just failing at being adults. But Gen Z is not having any of it. They are clapping back, saying they would much rather be antisocial than trapped in a miserable marriage or dealing with a roommate who steals their almond milk. Even the gray divorcees are jumping into the fray. On Facebook, you see boomers who have finally left 40-year marriages and they are basically throwing digital parties. They are posting pictures of their new divorce apartments and talking about how they finally get to eat cereal for dinner in total silence. It is a cross-generational revolution of people saying enough to the old school rules. If you want the real tea, you have to go to Reddit. The deep dives there are legendary. There are entire subreddits dedicated to "I am never moving in with anyone again" horror stories. We are talking about roommates who never cleaned and the absolute trauma of never having a moment of privacy. These stories serve as a massive warning to anyone thinking about giving up their solo status. For many in the solo squad, reading these stories is like a shot of adrenaline. It reminds them exactly why they are working 2 jobs for that tiny studio. They would rather be broke and alone than share a kitchen with a stranger ever again. But it is not all memes. Economists are getting seriously worried about what they call the loneliness economy. They are looking at these 38 million solo households and asking a terrifying question. Can a country thrive if everyone is living in their own bubble? When we stop sharing resources, the environment takes a hit and social ties fray. If everyone stays inside their micro apartment, who builds the community? These experts warn that while being alone might feel good right now, the long-term cost to our social fabric could be astronomical. It is a $1 trillion question that could change the future of our cities forever. This brings us to a huge question for all of you. Let's do a public poll right here. Seriously, be honest. Would you trade your current situation for a tiny studio apartment and total absolute silence? Is the single tax worth the price of never having to compromise on the thermostat or the TV remote again? Some of you are nodding yes immediately, while others are terrified of the silence. It is the ultimate dilemma of the individuality era. We are all trying to figure out if being the king of a small castle is better than being a partner in a bigger one. The reactions are pouring in, and they prove one thing: the way we live is changing, and there is no turning back. Are we evolving or just pulling apart? As we look ahead, the big question isn't just why people are living alone, but how the world is actually going to pivot to serve them in the long run. Think about it. Almost every business model we've ever known is built on the couple discount. Your gym membership is cheaper if you add a partner. Your car insurance drops the second you get married. And even your tax bracket rewards you for saying "I do." But as the solo squad continues to dominate the census, will these perks just disappear forever? Economists are already predicting a future where businesses have to stop punishing singles and start courting them like the VIPs they truly are. Imagine a world where the single tax is replaced by a solo premium service, where companies finally realize that 38 million people are tired of paying more for less. It's a total game changer for our collective wallets, but it could also mean the end of the traditional financial incentives for getting hitched. Now, let's talk about the roof over our heads, because this is where things get truly wild. Real estate developers are in a total frenzy right now. They know the demand for one-bedroom units is through the roof, but let's be real, the rent is also through the roof. This is where we might see a massive housing pivot that changes how we define a home forever. Speculation is growing about a future where co-living spaces become the absolute norm for everyone. Picture this: you have your own private bedroom and bathroom, but you share a high-end kitchen, a gym, and a rooftop deck with 20 other people. It's like a dorm for adults, but with way better coffee and 0 messy roommates in your actual personal bubble. It might be the only way for solo people to survive the crazy rent hikes while still getting that sweet, sweet privacy they crave. Is it a compromise? Maybe. But in the individuality era, it might be the only way to stay financially afloat. But wait. There's an even wilder trend on the horizon that sounds like something straight out of a celebrity gossip mag. Have you heard of living together apart, or LTA? It's becoming the ultimate relationship goal for people who want the love but absolutely not the laundry. We're seeing more and more couples, especially among the gray divorcees and older millennials, choosing to stay in a committed relationship while maintaining entirely separate homes. Rumors say this is the secret to a long-lasting marriage, never having to argue over the toilet seat or the thermostat ever again. But seriously, can the economy actually handle this? If every couple suddenly needs 2 apartments instead of 1, the housing shortage is going to go from bad to apocalyptic. It's a lifestyle of absolute luxury that might just break the entire housing market as we know it today. Here is where things get a little spicy and honestly a bit scary. What happens when the solo squad gets old? The retirement industry is looking at the data and sweating buckets. For decades, the plan was always that family, spouses or children, would provide the first line of care. But with no one at home, the solo squad is heading toward an aging process that looks very different. Will we see a rise in solo senior villages? Who is going to help when someone trips or needs a ride to the doctor? If there is no one at home to care for the solo aging population, we are looking at a massive economic evolution or a total collapse of the traditional safety net. It's a $1 trillion problem that nobody has quite figured out yet. And it's keeping economists up at night. And here's a thought that will really bake your noodle. Will solo living eventually become so expensive that it becomes a luxury only the ultra-rich can afford? Think about it. As resources get tighter and urban space becomes more limited, the ability to live completely alone might become the ultimate status symbol, way more impressive than a flashy car or a designer bag. We might be heading toward a future where the working class is forced back into multi-generational homes just to survive, while the elite enjoy the silence of their solo penthouses. It's a dark twist on the American dream, don't you think? Is the economy actually ready for a world where I replaces we permanently? We are standing on the edge of a massive shift that touches everything from how we buy bread to how we build cities. The cliffhanger here is huge. As we move into this uncharted territory, the tension between our desire for independence and our need for economic stability is reaching a breaking point. Is this the beginning of a beautiful new era of freedom, or are we setting ourselves up for a lonely, expensive crash? So here we are at the end of this absolutely wild ride, and honestly, the tea has been spilled all over the floor. We just exposed the biggest shift in American history, and let's be real for a second. The solo revolution isn't coming, it is here. It has taken over major cities, our carts, and even the way our parents and grandparents are choosing to live their lives. From the Gen Z members of the solo squad who are prioritizing their mental health and me time above everything else, to those gray divorcees who are ditching decades of tradition to start over in their 60s and 70s, the landscape of the American home has been redrawn. We are no longer just a nation of nuclear families gathered around a single television set. We are a nation of individuals, each in our curated space, scrolling through our own feeds and paying a premium for every second of that peace and quiet. It's a total revolution shaking the foundations of everything we thought we knew about the American dream. But now that we've looked at the data and felt the vibes, it's time for the final verdict. Is living alone a dream come true or an economic nightmare waiting to happen? On one hand, you have the ultimate freedom. No one is eating your leftovers, no one is leaving their wet towels on the floor, and you never have to ask for permission to change the channel or the thermostat. It's a level of autonomy that previous generations could dream of. But on the other hand, the single tax is a brutal antagonist in this story. That $10,000 annual penalty isn't a random number. It's a massive barrier to home ownership, a constant drain on your savings, and a reminder that the world wasn't built for a party of one. Big box retailers are still trying to sell you the family size, and real estate developers are charging luxury prices for tiny boxes in the sky. So which side are you really on? This is where we need to hear from the real experts, which is you guys. Drop a comment below right now and let's settle this once and for all. Are you on team single and free, where the silence is worth every extra penny of that rent? Or are you team split the bills, because you'd rather have a partner if it means you can actually afford a vacation once in a while? The debate is heating up in the comments, and we want to see the solo squad represent. Tell us your horror stories about the single tax, or your success stories of romanticizing your solo life. We are reading every one of them, and while you're down there, don't even think about leaving without hitting that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. You don't want to miss our next deep dive, where we're going to be exposing the hidden taxes of modern life that are draining your bank account without you even noticing. From subscription fatigue to the hidden cost of convenience, we are uncovering it all. If you want to stay ahead of the curve in this crazy economy, you need to be part of this community. We are going to keep investigating these shifts together. Remember, your space is your kingdom, and there is nothing like the feeling of closing your your own front door and knowing the world can't get in. But let's keep it 100. That kingdom definitely comes with a hefty price tag. Whether you're living in a micro apartment in the city or a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs all by yourself, the solo revolution is a testament to our desire for independence at any cost. Is it sustainable? Only time will tell. But for now, the individuality era is in full swing, and we are all just trying to navigate the high costs of freedom. Thanks. Goodbye.